All right, everybody, we're back. I'm not Ryan Thogmartin with the Unconference, but I am moderating the marketing panel. I'm Curtis Uncotukio. So to start this off, we'll go left to right. Ryan, do you even need to introduce yourself at this point?
Maybe. I don't know. Ryan Thogmartin, Disrupt Media and ConnectingDirectors.com. And I'm grateful that Curtis is moderating this panel. Thank you.
Of course. Scott.
Scott Jensen with First Call Marketing. We're based out of Utah. I'm also grateful that Curtis is moderating this panel.
Welton Hunt with Ring Marketing. It's fun. Yeah, these are all great friends. It's fun to just chat about marketing.
It is.
It's going to be a good conversation. We've only got a few questions that you guys submitted, and then there's some from like the folks out in the universe here as well. So we'll get this kicked off, and I think it's going to be a pretty good conversation. I think there's a lot we're going to learn here. So first, Welton, you're first. Do you think there's life on other planets?
Good question. I would guess probability it's going to be pretty high.
Good answer. Okay.
I put my life savings in SpaceX.
Oh, yeah. Good. There you go. You're in it. Welton asked for easy questions, so I wanted to throw him a softball there. Anyway, no, Welton, in seriousness here, though. So AI is obviously changing search with Google. And so what should funeral homes be doing to really prepare for GEO?
Freak out?
Yeah.
Just kidding. Yeah, in all reality right now, I love it. It's changing all the time. Like, even I cannot, keep up with it, which is very, very odd feeling. Every day I wake up, it's like, what happened, right? But as of today, this is pretty clear with the AI overview, with the AI mode. It's really splitting into two environments here. If the search term is more the top of the funnel information-based searches, you will see the AI overview. If it's not, it's more bottom of the funnel, like funeral home near me, very, very high intent-based searches, you will not see the AI overview yet. I use the word yet. And I always keep on going back and always laugh about this. Is Google for profit or non-profit?
They're profit. Got to make that money.
Of course. It's going to milk everything out of all of us to make sure, right? It has to be profitable. So it's slowly changing, adapting as we go. And the ads, ultimately, at the end of the day, it's their cash cow. So they're not going to really interrupt its cash cow, right? You might start seeing more and more often the AI overview. You might still see more and more ads popping up in there, right? So as of today, I just always look at it, high intent keywords, most likely AI overview will not appear yet. So definitely if you're running ads or try to go after those bottom of the funnel type of high intent keywords. If you're still doing more informational based searches, that's fine. Your ads most likely will not appear in that AI overview section.
Yeah. Well, can you just tell us what GEO is real quick?
It's so confusing. So GEO is Generative Engine Optimization. Sometimes people call it AEO, right? Answer Engine Optimization. And it's how I look at AI or GEO as of today. Nobody knows exactly how it works.
Great.
No. It's adapting all the time. So if somebody says, hey, they're an expert in GEO, I don't buy that because nobody knows exactly, right? We can kind of guess a little bit. And ultimately, if you're highly ranked on Google, SEO-wise, most of those signals do carry into GEO. And I'll just spend one quick minute. This is how I believe GEO works. It's really there to emulate us human being behavior. So if I'm looking for a funeral home, it's just doing that drastically fast, right? It's going on multiple funeral home websites locally based, right? Just look at a bunch of those instantly. It's looking at the content on a website to figure out who you are, what you do, how are you different. It's just doing that so fast. And then it's going to check out your reviews so fast. It's also going to look at how trustworthy you are. It's going to look at a bunch of directories. Are you cited in there? It's doing this so fast, right? It's even going on sites like BBB. Like, when's the last time we go on BBB? But just doing that so fast. So if you do right? Take care of those things that traditionally does work. There's really nothing much huge, right? Obviously, you might have to tweak a few things, but overall, I look at GEO, it's similar to SEO, more or less.
Any other, like, either from you or Scott or Ryan, if you guys want to chime in, like other like practical applications? I'm a funeral home, and is there something I can do today if I had like a free couple hours that I could do like to make an adjustment that would help me in this world of GEO?
Yeah, I've got a few pointers out there. So we like to say that AI follows the know, like, trust framework. So in marketing, you always hear that people buy from people that they know, like, trust. AI follows a similar pattern. They like to make sure that they know what business it is. So a practical thing is, like, do some Google searches, do some searches online, make sure it's pretty clear what your business is and what it does, because AI is going to be going across like BBB, like Welton was saying, and all these sites. It wants to make sure it's consistent, that they understand, okay, Smith Funeral Home is in Chicago, Illinois, and Smith Funeral Home does burials and cremations. So you got to make sure it knows. So do a quick search, make sure you're consistent. And then we like to say you want AI to like your funeral home by putting out useful content for AI, because AI is trying to give the best answers it can to people. And so writing useful content's becoming more important to have high quality content. And then trust. I personally think this is the biggest one, reviews. Getting reviews, and not just Google reviews, but Facebook reviews, Yelp reviews. I know we pretty much all hate Yelp, but Yelp reviews help too. And then this is one that I think funeral directors could do in the next 30 minutes. Write a story about a family that you served and put it on your website. So talk about, but change the name so you're not giving away personal information, but talk about, hey, the Jones family came in and they're struggling because they lost their mom, but their mom always wanted not just a typical funeral, but she wanted a special celebration of life. And give a bunch of details, because then when people are asking about funeral homes in Chicago, AI is going to see, okay, I've seen that Smith Funeral Home did this for the Jones family, and it's likely to reference that in AI Overview or ChatGPT or things like that.
That's great.
Ryan.
I want to organic content. I'm not the search guy. You guys are the search guy. I'm the content guy. And so organic content, I know AI loves organic content, video content. I think if you're going to write a story, it's really easy to record a video and then just get the transcription and turn that into a story really easy. So organic content is something that we focus heavily on with our clients. So the automated grief and inspirational post and generic post of just, an old white-haired couple sitting in an arrangement room isn't going to get the job done when it's GEO. So organic video content would reign in that regard.
Awesome. No, those are great thoughts. So, I mean, really, it sounds like hopefully the folks at home realize what you can do today that could actually help your GEO. You want to produce content. You want to get the information on your website, right? And you want to definitely be running searches and see where you stack up today.
Yeah, can I add one more?
Yeah.
There, Chris. So you often hear unique selling proposition. You got to talk about what's different. If you do a search on like ChatGPT or Claude or Gemini and you say, what are the best funeral homes in Phoenix, Arizona? They're going to list out a few, and then they're going to say, ChatGPT is going to say like, XYZ Funeral Home is known for providing premier service, or XYZ Funeral Home is known for providing affordable service. And so AI is really grabbing on to what you talk about yourself on your website. And so if you want to be known as like the premier high quality funeral home, you got to plaster that all over your website. You don't want to do it like keyword spamming, but you want to make it super clear. So if AI goes on there, it's talking about premier. But if you're more of a high volume, low cost provider, lean into that. Talk about how you're the most competitive one on there. And then AI is going to reference that as people ask it.
Yeah, that's great. Any other thoughts on that topic?
Yeah, it's really ultimately like we're all talking about the same thing.
We're guessing.
It's content. It has not changed since day one. Whether you want to be ranked on Google, you want to be ranked on ChatGPT, doesn't matter. It's still coming back to what we're all saying. It's content.
Yeah, that's a great lead into the next question we have, which is, and we'll start with Scott, is how you're seeing funeral homes like successfully implement AI in their marketing, and maybe that includes like your content creation. How are you seeing
Yeah, so I think there's two parts to it. One is how you can be recommended by AI, and I think we've touched on it here. I want to take the second part and talk about how you can use AI on the back end for your marketing. And I'll just talk about a couple of use cases that we see are working well. So call intelligence is one that we've seen be very important. And so with AI, you can use it to analyze all of your inbound calls and leads, because not all leads are equal. Like a lot of times you'll get people calling saying, what time is Shannon's service on Saturday? That type of call is not likely going to result in an additional case for your funeral home within the next couple of weeks. But if somebody calls and says, hey, my mom just passed away and I'm trying to find a funeral home, that's the type of call we want. And so you can use AI to analyze these calls and then know which ones are the types of calls we want, and then pump that data back into whatever platform you're using. So we mainly work on Google, so pump those conversions back to Google. So you start optimizing around those types of conversions. Ryan, in that case, would be pump those conversions back to Facebook. So that's one use case of using AI internally that we've seen really helps you make your marketing more effective. And then another one that we've seen work pretty well across our portfolio is we're doing AI agents for funeral homes, primarily focused on aftercare and review generation. So every funeral director, for the most part, is super well-intentioned, and they want their families to be taken care of A through Z, but they also wear a million hats. You know, they got so many things to take care of, and so oftentimes aftercare and checking in with families falls through the cracks. And so we've seen AI agents that can follow up with the families on behalf of the funeral home, who text them and say, hey, this is, you can use a pseudo name, or you can say, hey, this is the team with Smith Funeral Home, or hey, this is Hope with Smith Funeral Home. John, the funeral director's name, wanted me to check in and make sure you're doing okay. So it's a great check-in point, make sure the family's okay before they go. If they had a bad experience, you don't want them grumbling to their neighbors about it. You want to get them to address it with you, so you can call them and check in with them directly. And if they've had a good experience, just the AI agent follows up and says, hey, as you know, reviews play a big role, and we'd really appreciate it if you could leave us one. Text them the link, they click the link, hit 5 stars, a couple sentences, and then leave reviews. And we've seen AI agents produce way better throughput when it comes to gathering reviews, as well as the quality of reviews versus just like typical aftercare processes with surveys and emails.
That's awesome. I think we should keep on this subject for a second of just like how you're seeing AI being used in marketing.
I see it from a content standpoint used in automation in a more negative way. Automating image, like you can, almost anybody can get on a social platform and know what graphic was created with AI and know it wasn't real. And I think that's the downside of AI. We use AI internally more for competitive analysis. So being able to use an AI agent to go do a competitive analysis on what are the reviews that another funeral home is getting, what are people saying about that funeral home, what are people saying about your funeral home, how can we integrate those things into your marketing? Connecting and partnering with these guys too, of what search is driving somebody to a funeral home, and how do we incorporate that into that content marketing? I mean, everything we're doing is content related, and using AI more on the data side of it to analyze conversations, keywords that people are using, what are they searching, what are they saying in reviews that are specific, that, you know, back to Scott's point of a story of how you served a family. When someone's leaving something detailed and specific in a review, your ability to then create content around that. We know if the AI agent is grabbing that for search, if we create organic content around it as well, now you've got another at bat of that being integrated into a search. So we use it more on a data perspective. It is easy to automate content with AI, but there's also a negative effect of that, because you can tell when it's AI generated. And so, you know, you can tell when a video is an AI talking head. You can tell when something was written with AI and you're not taking M dashes out and it doesn't sound, you're using words that you wouldn't use in normal speak. And I could be wrong, but I think that in search that Google is actually analyzing content to be able to tell if it was AI written and automated versus a human actually telling a real story, correct? Oh, yeah. So that could be used negatively in search. So That's how we're seeing AI, using AI as more data perspective of research and then optimization of content that's being created.
Awesome. Welton, you got any thoughts?
Yeah, I agree with all of you guys. Just a little bit, again, I'm very conservative as far as AI goes. I will still say the rule of thumb is using that front of the house and back of the house analogy. Anything front of the house, I will not use AI a whole lot. Again, eventually it might be pretty good, right? It can answer your phone, right? It can help you out a lot with anything, but anything client facing, I wouldn't use AI. I will use, that's how we're all, right? Human relationship does matter, right? It can help answer your phone, do chatbots, stuff like that. But if you spend so much time to acquire that first call, and you fumble through that chatbot, then what's the point? So I would say anything in front of the house, I would still be a little cautious for now, right? Eventually it'll get very, very good. But you definitely could heavily use it for back of the house, right? Anything to help you, right? Systems, operations, and training is a big deal. So I'm very happy to see, right, you guys know this, like calls could be recorded, analyzed for training purposes. Like, hey, you didn't do as well on this call, you did very well on this call, right? Same thing on the arranger, in the arrangement room, you guys have that, now you can, right, transcribe it, but also for training purposes as well, why you didn't mention to bring up this merchandise, right? So yeah, those are definitely, I would say anything back of the house, I would say it's getting very, very safe to use. And especially anything that you got very, very good process system like SOP down, that's where it can really just follow exactly your process. But if you don't have a good process system in place yet, that's where it tends to not do too well.
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah.
So I think one of the top words for 2025 was slop, was a new word, and that's often referred to as just AI content that's just junk, just worthless. And so there's I think you can leverage AI to create content, but currently you still want at least some kind of human touch reviewing it and making sure that you're not just putting slop out in the universe. 'Cause that's going to hurt more than do good.
Yeah, interesting thing I think on that, like that AI slop, is it's like it would write such good hooks, right? But I've noticed, like when I'm looking at feeds and if somebody's like, lots of people like to golf, but they've been doing it all wrong, and then it's like ... and you're like, what, right? But like at this point, you like see something like that, and you're like, no, like
Clickbait slop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. 100%.
Well, that was great, guys. So let's talk social media side here, Ryan, and just like, why is social media so crucial to a marketing strategy for a funeral home?
I think marketing in general is omni approach. It's not one size fits all. Obviously, we hang our hat in the lane of social because I look at attention. Our mission statement is we make funeral homes impossible to ignore, and attention wins. I'll use an example. Movies. Oppenheimer was a great theatrical, cinematic movie that captured the trajectory of history in our country was changed, and that movie was about something important. It releases the same day as Barbie. Okay. Now, Barbie was impactful in different ways for our country, but theatrically, it was not the better movie, but it crushed in the box office because of the amount of attention that was generated around the Barbie movie. All the user-generated content, Airbnb's Barbie themed, Mattel and the producers of that movie did an insane job of just garnering attention. So when we look at a funeral home in a competitive landscape, if you get more attention, you get more business. Good or bad, with that attention, you have the ability now to prove that you are better. So best known beats best in almost every single scenario. Samsung may have the better phone. I don't know. I'm never going to use it. I love Apple, and Apple makes everything work well, and it's better known than Samsung. So it is best known wins. And so with a funeral home, I look at social as the most cost-effective way to build attention that's actionable. You can build known, you can build trust through content, and then you can turn that trust into action through a lead, all through one single piece of content, very, very cost-effectively. So is it the best form of marketing? it's the best way to grab actionable attention with one single piece of content that can reach millions of people. And we say that, and we've never been able to say that in a death care landscape before and it actually be real, but we've got multiple clients getting millions of views organically on content that is educational, that is not the shock and awe content that you would expect from somebody just trying to get engagement. It's like, how do you get a decedent from an embalming table into a casket? Like, that video got over 5 million views in 24 hours. There was never a body present, so don't come for my head. But just explaining that process, explaining the embalming process. This isn't shock and awe content. This isn't things that are like very hooky. That are just trying to grab attention with no substance to it. So millions of views, tons of attention, one 45-second video that equates to call volume. That's measurable. So is social the best form? I don't know. It's a great way to get a lot of attention that's actionable for very low cost of free.
Can you give like maybe a quick overview of like between TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn? Like, what would a funeral home use each of those for? When do they work the best? Work the best for what content?
LinkedIn's not the consumer network. So LinkedIn is connecting with, like, you want to go speak at hospice, you want to build relationships with senior living facilities for continuing education, you want to connect with C-level execs or salespeople at a supplier. LinkedIn is great for that. It's B2B. So think of it as like business coffee conversations, not consumer obits and death notices and educational content around a funeral home. Facebook is where the most profitable audience for a funeral home lives. The most engaged audience on Facebook is over the age of 45, dominantly female. We know that 71% of consumers that make death care arrangements are women over the age of 45. So that, from a cost perspective standpoint, and the ad platform is absolutely insane. So when you create the right content and you dial it in, I was having in a conversation with Welton earlier and say our average funeral home spends $300 a month on Facebook ads, and we have an 18 times return on that $300 spend. That's crazy. It's insanely cost effective, but you do that with organic content, priming the pump. So Facebook is that dominant audience. Then you would have Instagram. Instagram's very, very, it used to be photo driven. Now it's more video driven, under 90 seconds. It's a younger demographic, but that younger demographic is influencing the older demographic. So if you leverage Facebook correctly, you're getting the older demographic that the younger demographic on Instagram is influencing. And now they're going to Facebook and they see content there. TikTok is less localized, but you can make it very, very localized by using the right keywords in content. So all the algorithms look at the context of the content that's being created. So if I said, I own a funeral home in Red Lion, Pennsylvania, the algorithm is going to know that I said Red Lion, and it's going to hyper-localize some of that content. It's the reason that when you go on vacation, you start seeing localized content. There's geolocation of your phone, but also the algorithm knows where your phone's at, and they know that that's a local business, and they said this local city, and it's going to put that content in front of you. It's applicable to your interests. So the context of what's being created, TikTok is the trend driver, and all the other platforms kind of model what's working on TikTok and build it into their platform a little more polished and a little more professional. So if you are just a consumer of content, TikTok is a great place to go to consume what's trending, what conversations are happening. It's a lot easier to go viral on TikTok as a funeral home because there's a lot of search involved in TikTok as well. Conversion-wise, it's absolutely not the conversion network. That's dominantly Facebook.
Oh, interesting. And so, but like these videos you're talking about for that have gone viral, 5 million views for like the body hoist thing.
Yeah.
TikTok, or is it like produced on
Facebook.
TikTok? It's on Facebook.
Facebook.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Any thoughts from you guys on this?
Yeah, so this one obviously was not my question, why Facebook is the best place to market, because we don't do Facebook. We're primarily on search engines, Google, and AI models. So I think there's I'm going to play devil's advocate. I think there's a place for both. I think the best funeral home is going to dominate in both. And the use cases are unique. So Facebook is great for protecting market share and gaining market share before the time arises. But there's so many things grabbing for people's attention that there's going to be families that when the death occurs, they don't know who they're going to use.
It's not your at need. No one's going to Facebook to search for a funeral home at need.
Exactly. It helps with that need in the fact that they can know, like, oh, I've seen this funeral home, so I'm going to look this one up. But there's going to be inevitably people who don't know that yet. And so then that's where Google and your AI search platforms come into play, is the people who are, hey, I moved to Chicago 5 years ago, and my mom passed away, and we don't know who we're going to use, and I don't have a neighbor who has a strong recommendation. First thing I do is I go, funeral homes near me, or I go to ChatGPT and I say, where are the best funeral homes in my area? And then that's where it's important to be showing up there in the top.
Yeah. And, Welton, I've heard a soundbite from you several times where it's like social media pre-need, Google at need. Is that, you think,
It's
still
really
true
that
today?
different. Yeah, I'll just kind of play a quick game with you guys just to talk about old school marketing. Old school. So that's a pre-internet days, Curtis. Let's say we're in the 90s. Let's say you have your roof's leaking. Where do you go find roofing companies back then?
Yeah, phone book, right?
Phone book, right? And when you go on the phone book, all of the roofing companies are all there. They're all there.
Yeah.
And how do you know which roofing company to call?
Who has the biggest ad or who starts with an A, right? Isn't that
Exactly, right? So there's ways to stand out, but the ad copy, obviously, the larger the ad, typically is you get to put better ad copy in there to talk about how you're different, for example, right? But if you also think about the SEO is you move your name to be AAA1 roofing company. But if you also think about it, it's typically those roofing companies that you heard of. They're on billboards. They're everywhere. They run TV, right? They're on home magazines. They're everywhere. So you more tend to, right, gravitate towards those. So present day, it's literally Google is replacing the phone book. Right? We all know that, right? It's high intent. But social media, where I see it, it's really filling in that whole branding. It's so critical, right? We keep on saying the same things, using different, because the more branded you are, more likely at need, pre-need, when they're making up their mind, even if they saw you on Google, they're still going to choose the one they heard of.
Yeah.
Yeah, to echo that, my wife and I just got home insurance, and we did some like home insurance generator, and it created a list, and the top two was one company was slightly cheaper, but then the next one was Progressive, and I'd never heard the other one, but I always see the bazillions of Progressive commercials, and so we went with Progressive.
Awareness.
Yeah.
Just know it. You know it. Best known is better than best.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, one thing I just want to, I was chatting with Ryan. Social media really is great for outreach, great for that top of mind awareness, which is very, very critical. But where I see funeral homes that's doing it themselves is they post a few content and they wish, it's wishful thinking from a point of view, it's going to convert into a call.
That's right.
Right? And they're not really investing in the long run. Just going back to TV, radio, billboards days, people stuck around for at least a year, right? And we're chatting about it. It's really that ACC funnel. It's awareness, consideration, and conversion, right? That awareness is people don't focus on, so they go straight to conversion. That's why it's not working out as well. They expect it's going to convert, right?
That's such a great point.
Yeah.
It is. Marketing is a long game, regardless of whether it's Google, social, traditional. I'm a huge fan of traditional media. I think traditional media still works very, very well if the creative is good. If it's a billboard that's serving this community for 150 years, 97 generations, address, phone number, email address, burial, cremation, aquamation, here's a picture of a building, here's a picture of our staff, nobody cares. But if the creative is really good and I remember it, I don't need to know your phone number. I just need to know I saw that billboard and it was that funeral home. That's it. And so the attention game, but you're very, very correct, and we want to race to conversion, and there's no light switch for a funeral home to get more business, period. It's just, there's nothing that you could offer free funerals. The difference is somebody still has to die. we forget that. Like, and that is a long game to play, to build that awareness, to build trust, to build attention. 80% of death care is relationship driven. Relationships don't happen through conversion ads. Relationships happen through the more I know about you, the more I trust you. Now I have a relationship with you. It's the reason that I have my kids and my wife very visible for decades in death care is I'm an open book. You know that we love Jesus. You know that we're family oriented. You know where we travel. Like, the more you know about somebody, the deeper the relationship and connection goes. And marketing's very much the same way, especially with a funeral home. A lot of what you're doing is personal branding. I need to trust that funeral director. And so you can't get that by going straight from awareness to conversion. There's got to be something in the middle.
That's great comments. I've got two thoughts right now. One, let's go with this question. I want to kind of ask like back to the basics from a budgeting perspective for a funeral home. If I'm an average funeral home doing 120 calls, maybe I'm looking at like 800 to $1 million in revenue or something. Any thoughts on what my marketing budget should be and how it should be allocated?
I think the budget. Okay, I'll go on the allocation part. I don't know budget wise, because I think that, you know, it goes back to the question, what's more important, marketing or sales? And it's like, well, you don't have anything. You can't have sales without marketing. If no one knows that you exist, you're not going to sell anything. So, you know, marketing would be more important. Well, then someone else on the sales side is going to go, well, yeah, well, you can market if you can't sell. It doesn't matter if you market good. Like, I don't know what the budget should be. I'll go on an allocation. I put a piece of content out like this multiple times. If I owned a funeral home, regardless of what my budget is, here's how I would allocate it. 70% would be social. I would spend probably 10 to 15% on Google. Like, you have to be visible when somebody is searching, because social is not going to find everybody. Absolutely impossible. And then I would invest the rest of it in community outreach, and then just what I call bonker marketing, just wild and crazy. And what I mean by that is, like, I would do a goldfish funeral. I would live stream it. I would do an obit for it. I would create content around it, and I would invite the entire community to a goldfish funeral, because everybody would talk about it. And again, I'm all about how much attention can I get. I would wrap my hearse graffiti and park it in front of the mayor's house just to see if everybody talked that the mayor died. I would put it in the middle of Walmart when it's not being used in a parking lot, because it's just attention. We have a graffiti wrapped van that just drives around our town in Ohio where our office is, and the amount of people that call us just because, hey, I saw your van at Walmart. I was on we drove to the New Jersey convention from Ohio, and I got an Instagram DM, just passed your van on the freeway. So, like, that's not social media, that's not Google, that's just straight up attention. So 75% would be social, 75%, 15 to 20% inside of Google, and the rest would be in community engagement, in hospice, in senior living, building relationships, shaking hands, kissing babies, taking pastors to lunch, and then some sort of wild and crazy, just off the wall. My go-to would be a goldfish funeral, 100%.
That's awesome.
I've got I think a pretty straightforward answer to this one. I think it would be $15,000 a month for sponsoring Little League jerseys.
Yes, that's so good. Church bulletins too.
Yeah. So I don't think that funeral homes should lock themselves into a set marketing budget. I think a funeral home should have a couple grand a month that they try things out, and then they measure their return on investment. Because there's no point in saying, hey, I'm going to allocate $20,000 a year to marketing and just set it somewhere.
That's great. That's so good.
And then just like let it stay there.
That's the right answer, actually. That's the right answer.
The 15,000 Little League jerseys. So I always recommend, hey, let's try the full breadth, and then let's analyze and see what's working, and then let's reallocate the resources to what's working the best. Because if I can spend $1,000 a month on ads and I can get $5,000 back on that, I'm gonna next month up my ad spend to $2,000 a month,
it's a
and then
numbers
get
game.
$10,000 back, and then maybe you start to get to a point where you get diminishing returns, and then you need to scale back. But if you can put $1 in and get $5 back, there should be no marketing budget. You should just put it all in there.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Well, I know maybe you could answer like what's kind of an optimal amount, and whatever thoughts you have, optimal amount spent on like Google Ads and stuff too.
Yeah, so this is we all agree on the same thing, but the general thing I see here is underspending. I would rather don't spend it, right?
Yeah.
If you expect, hey, I spent X like very little on Google Ads, you're gonna increase your calls right away. It just doesn't work. Same thing, social media, all these. I would rather you just pick one channel and really invest your time, energy, and money in it, rather than, hey, just spread it thin and you don't know which one is working.
That's a great point.
Right. So I would say start small and then track. If it works, then that's where you start scale that channel. But also is once this channel is working, I always see that I just call this like the squirrel syndrome is right. Also shiny metal syndrome. It's like, hey, everyone's talking about this, so you trash this.
Yeah.
This is working, and you shifted everything over to here. And that's the same thing as offline marketing. If mailer's working, I love direct mails. If mailer's working, it used to give you, let's say, 3% return. Now it's only giving you 1% return. But while saying the same thing, it still makes you money.
Yeah.
Then why just stop direct mail? It's not even an expense. It's making you money. Then why are you shifting to other strategy?
Yeah.
I think it's important too to understand the timeline for your type of marketing that you're doing. So for like SEO and AEO, that's a longer timeline. I typically tell people, hey, 6 to 9 months till we start to see the needle move, and then it's a slow, steady climb. Whereas ads, we can get a pretty good idea within 3 to 6 months if we need to double down or reallocate the resources. So I think having a proper, I'm going into it, and I know at this milestone, I'm going to reassess to see how it's going is important, rather than just getting 3 years down the road and wondering if it's working, or going a week down the road and then pulling the plug too early.
Expectations. One more thing I think is very detrimental that we all see in death care is just dialing back a marketing spend and not spending. I always laugh because summertime the death rate decreases, and that's when funeral homes decrease all of their marketing spend. And so when you need to generate the most amount of awareness is when you have the least amount of visibility. Because now you don't even have people coming into the funeral home that are leaving and talking about the funeral because you weren't having any funerals. So if it was me, I would double my marketing spend in the summertime. We do it with Disrupt, full transparency. We almost triple our spend in marketing through the summer months when cash flow is the lowest, because we're generating the most amount of exposure so that when cash flow goes up in a funeral home and they're ready to spend on marketing again, well, we've had the most visibility through the last 3 months. One quick story, post Kellogg, the top 2 breakfast cereal brands in 1930, Post dialed back during the Great Depression and the economy was really bad. They dialed back their marketing spend and focused just on a few things. Kellogg doubled their marketing spend, almost tripled their marketing spend, focused on Snap, Crackle, Pop, which we all know as Rice Krispies, and became the #1 breakfast brand by 1933 with revenue increases of over 30% when Post declined. Now, Post went very conservative, held their cash flow, saved it for a rainy day. Kellogg goes crazy and ramps up marketing spend, but grabs all the awareness. So when competition is dialing back and you spend more, there's a great strategy there. And it tends to be in death care that we just cut marketing because cash flow is low. You need to prep for those times to be able to double down marketing spend when no one else is spending money.
That's a really good point. I mean, like, especially in that cereal example, you're talking about some of the cheapest food available that you can buy.
Yeah.
So you could buy that probably in the Depression, but fear led others to make bad choices. That's really interesting. So there's been some like questions that have come in as well, and like some that we had submitted by registrants, and I think we've covered a lot of these topics. But one that we haven't touched on at all that I think is interesting, this probably kind of really hits on reviews and social interaction, is how you recommend recovering from like like reputation management. Basically, is the question. Everybody's at some point going to have an employee that maybe makes a mistake, and that's going to hit like a Google review, or that's going to hit a social media post. How do you handle that?
Yeah, I think the best way is to try to bury it up and cover it and hide it.
Don't address it. Close your eyes.
And if someone asks you about it, lie about it.
Yeah, that's great.
No, so obviously you just gotta own up to it. Hey, reach out to the family. Hey, I'm so sorry. Jennifer had an off day and she messed up, and that's unexcusable. That's on us. What can I do to make it right? Here are some options. I can refund X amount of the service. I can provide this type of additional service. So I think you just address it when it comes to a family directly. And then as far as your online presence goes with that, so if you get like a 1-star review on Google, if it's a legit review, there's nothing you can do about it. It's a legit review. If it's a competitor making up a fake review, you can try to dispute that with Google. Sometimes Google will take it down, sometimes they won't. But as far as Google goes, in that case, in an honest way, try to bury it by getting a bunch more 5-star reviews. Because if your last review is a 1-star, then that's going to be bad. But if you can add on 10 more 5-star reviews, that's what people are going to say. So with the family, address it honestly, try to make it right, and then online, just get more good reviews.
Yeah, thoughts.
Just a couple points to touch on that. Yeah, it's exactly correct. But if you look at negative reviews, even if it's a fake review, for example, or you just cannot make everyone happy, let's all be honest, you cannot make every family happy, right? Obviously, you want to take it from online to offline to address it offline. But ultimately, if it's a review you cannot do anything about, you still want to reply to it publicly.
Yeah.
That is so critical, right? You got to look at your own behavior these days. Let's use that roofing company as an example. If most of the reviews are all overly positive, we actually scan the 1-star review. We study it like crazy. If nobody from that roofing company came out and put their side of the story, right, then you would think it's real, right? Mm-hmm. But if that roofing company, the owner actually responded to it, not trying to start a war, but really, right, apologize, take the high road, then we're like, okay, if something fell short, they're going to take care of it. So these days, the negative reviews, you definitely have to respond to it publicly, right? And then positive ones, you also have to these days.
Yeah. Could be a good use for AI if you were to say,
exactly.
How would Ted Lasso respond to that?
Give me, yeah, it's great. Reviews are, I hate reviews, honestly, because I mean, I think it's easy for people to make up false narratives. I don't think Facebook does a great job handling reviews. So here, my stance to funeral homes, and they're like, well, what about negative reviews? And someone's going to say something negative. People are going to say something negative whether you're present on that platform or not. If you are present there and you're partnering with a company that's helping you monitor, you now know that these things are being said, which gives you an opportunity to address it. If you're in the wrong, full responsibility and take ownership for it. Like, I think transparency always wins. We've been very successful in getting people to remove a negative Facebook review or a negative comment or delete a post where they've tagged the funeral home. Most of the time, I would say 95% of the time, someone says something negative through a social post and tags a funeral home, it was a miscommunication or misunderstanding. And if the funeral home wasn't engaging in social and monitoring, they would have never known that they got tagged in a post, and they would have never been able to address it. So the fear of somebody saying something negative should never overcome the ability to be there to know that it happened, to have the conversation. And I think that there's so many different ways to address it. I actually love a 4.7 rating versus a 5. Like, nobody's perfect ever. There was one perfect person, and we're not him. So, I think that there's value in negative reviews, and it gives you the opportunity to now build a relationship and respond appropriately. Is there the ability for people to get an army of family members to go say negative things and create content and do all the, yes, but most of the time that's not localized, and they're not going to tag the funeral home, so it doesn't really matter if Tim in California says something negative about your funeral home on social media in South Carolina. Like, nobody from California is coming to South Carolina to have that funeral. So
yeah, I've got some personal experiences with this. Like, we've had times when an employee will drop the ball on something, we'll get a client that's a little bit upset. And I've heard a saying that there can only be one angry person in the boat. And basically what it means is if a family is upset about something, you get upset about it too. Not at the family, but like, I can't believe that happened. That that was unacceptable. That's on us. We won't let that happen again. And what I see in that scenario is people often be like, oh, hey, it actually wasn't that big of a deal. Like, we're okay. We just wanted to let you know. And then it kind of like downplays. So
Yeah, you got to own it.
Yeah, just own up to it and try to make it right.
That's great advice. We're running out of time here, but I think as a wrap, and this is excellent, by the way. I mean, I think like you guys have provided some really practical feedback and thoughts for everyone here. As we wrap up, if you want to just hit on if there's anything in marketing you think we've missed today and you just want to make a point real quick, maybe that could be like your closing statements, like also don't forget this or whatever. And we'll start with you, Welton, and go this way.
Hospice. More than 50% of death occurs through hospice. We're all talking about like, that's like an easy one. You just got to build relationships
Yeah,
with them.
so good.
That's a great one.
With the talk about AEO, people are saying SEO's dead and stuff like that, but we're seeing actually the opposite. It's more important than ever to have a strong organic presence. And so I just encourage any funeral home that wants to be relevant in the next few years to really double down on their organic presence, both on search engines and on social too.
Awesome.
Organic content. Stop trying to automate. There's no fast track to brand building. There's no fast track to creating content. It's got to be organic. It's got to be real. It's got to be transparent.
Yeah. Maybe we wrap up with this statement. This Jeanette Roberts on the chat. And sorry, the chat's going up here. It's really hard for us to kind of keep track of this. This whole thing's rolling. So if we missed some comments, I'm sorry. But it's better to know us and not need us than to need us and not know us. That's a great way to wrap this up, I think, to all the comments were made. So thanks so much, everybody, for your time on the panel here. You guys did a great job. Now we're gonna take a quick 1 minute break, and then we're back with Ryan for Ryan's first one-on-one.
Let's go.
Yeah, thanks guys. It was fun.
Thank you.